Bonjour, mon cher, c'est Jeudi, assoiffe. It's our favorite Thursty Thursday. Love reading with our romance oracles. Out of print deck, by the way. So people love this one, and that's one reason why I decided to have Thursty Thursday segment, was because you can't get this deck anymore, at least not in its original condition, and so it was a good way to share it with everybody. I hope y'all are doing well. I actually went into work tonight. I was on the schedule and I got there and I was not on the floor. They had made cuts. It's just like quiet in Nashville right now, and they'd sent out a message through our app, but I didn't get it in time. So I showed up and I was like, hey, and then I found out it was cut. And I was like, oh, great. I can go home and make our video and enjoy the evening and do some fun stuff. I just started this current season of Stranger Things. I know everybody else was like right on that. I had to like finish out another series I was on first. So I've been just wondering, like, okay, what's the big scene with the Kate Bush song? And it's like I just saw at least the first major one. I don't know if they use it again, but it's been good so far. I love Stranger Things. Big fan. It's just so my vibe. Everything about it. From top to bottom, like all of the effects, like the 80s theme. I love 80s horror. I love 80s sci-fi. I love 80s action. The casting, just everything feels right. It's pitch perfect. I love that show. So nothing major has happened today. I did do some of my to be magnetic exercises. I'm doing the unblocking challenge, and I'm moving through the week dedicated to fear, and facing fears and like moving through them and integrating that. And so I did do an exercise relating to that today, which it's no wonder that I would then be sort of tested. My strength would be tested when I went into work and wasn't on the floor plan tonight. But I feel good. I feel abundant. I feel like I'm just grateful for a night off that I wasn't expecting. And I don't know. I feel like I'm skipping school. It's nice. It's like when you get the day off work because you have a dentist appointment or something and you're like, ooh, stolen hours. It's fun. Fun times. All right, let's check in with our romantic lives and see if we have anything on our plate for the week, anything that we need to look forward to, anything that we need to face up to, anything that we need to avoid or overcome within ourselves. You know, I'm always trying to find out, what are my limiting beliefs? What are my relationship patterns? Oh, here we go. Children. Your love life is being affected by children. And I always consider this card to mean that we are being the children. Our inner child trauma is coming up. And you know what? I learned recently that within relationships, and particularly where it affects like your sex life, it is always to do with inner child healing, like a need for that, and overcoming like childhood trauma. And, you know, we generalize trauma, but it's on a spectrum, and really all that it takes is for, you know, a person, regardless of age, to be exposed to something highly galvanizing while they're in an emotionally impressionable state. And that's all it takes for that pattern to be implanted, because then your brain goes into problem-solving mode and, you know, connecting interrelational, you know, dynamics and relationships just in a survival attempt. Then the ego comes into play and it's starting to narrate the whole thing. And so there's so much going on. And so trauma can occur just when you're in, you know, a situation that becomes more than you can handle emotionally, neurologically. It's like an overwhelming situation. And so that can be, you know, financial trauma. You can have like something that is a major like catastrophic event trauma. You can have emotional trauma that was maybe from, you know, one of those low-level hostility situations where you had to endure something over a long period of time, and it was sort of like a death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing. It like accumulated within you. maybe wore you down. And so it's always just thinking back in our childhood, okay, what were those standout memories that seem to come up, that feel connected to the story that I'm telling myself behind things that trigger me, or things that make me feel defensive or alarmed or make me feel reactive. It's good to try to get to a point where we're not swayed by the wind, for good or bad. We're eternal, we're consistent. We don't want outer influences to break us down nor build us up, because if we give that outer influences the power over us to define and validate us like that, then we give the outer influences the power to take them from us too. So we're trying to gain sovereignty over filling our own cup, connecting to the direct source, and having seen through the illusion that anything on the outside, anything material, is really going to bring the satisfaction, because it's really the light within the material experience that we're looking for. And the light of fulfillment and joy and pleasure is all coming from one source. It's just we have to really see through the vessel that we're reaching for, right? It's really the light within the situation. And then when we start to know that the light is within every situation and it's all around us and we're being loved and taken care of, then we don't have a desperate energy about anything in our life anymore, because we know it's coming. We know it's already there. We're already whole. And the moment that we need the thing to show up, it'll be there. And the absence of a thing is not anything to worry about. The universe loves a vacuum. It loves a void because it wants to fill the void. The universe is very sexual like that. It's all about peg and hole kind of energy. It's like there's a void and we want to fill it with creation, manifestation, expression, right? So don't worry and don't fret. Just focus and relax and turn your attention into noticing what your inner child is trying to tell you right now. What is the inner child expressing that it needs, and what story is upsetting the inner child that needs to be set straight? I just noticed that this little boy's little buttons are undone. What has you coming undone? Why he playing? Okay, what's next? What else? Pay attention to the red flags. Okay, cool. So, so many times we feel like we can't trust people. But really it's because we can't trust ourselves, because so many times we have put blinders on to red flags that are waving in our face, but we're like, gosh, if only there was a sign, It's like explosions in the distance, like ominous, like rain storms of blood and the floods of the tears of widows in the streets. And it's like, if only we could see, some kind of sign, some kind of red flag. And it's like, they're always there. It's just that we lie to ourselves and we ignore them and we justify and we look past and we choose to cling to false senses of security within illusions. And when we allow those towers to crumble, which is that number 16 major arcana card, the crashing towers, the tower card, it is allowing that illusion to fall away and look at the truth head on, and with no more illusions and no more fantasy, with the rose-colored glasses off. Just be realistic. So pay attention to red flags. Watch for patterns in yourself when these flags come up. Don't settle for less than you deserve. And also don't fall prey to your own ego and fear stories, right? Pay attention to your own red flags with yourself. We're always working on our relationship with ourselves and always trying to marry our lower selves with our higher selves, right? So that we can become like, the fusion of those two things and integrate it all. And so, how would your higher self be leading you right now? What is the higher self trying to point out to you in these triggers and these red flags? Watch for the red flag in yourself. watch for the trigger, watch yourself feel upset or feel a need to control or change something, or push past the discomfort and anesthetize instead of exploring it, right? And like pushing, not pushing, but allowing yourself to move through the emotion and experience it and explore it and see what it's exactly telling you about yourself, right? So pay attention. Pay attention. Don't ignore. Actually, like, don't keep going when you see the red flags, or, you know, make adjustments as needed, but don't ignore, because they'll get worse until you have to rock bottom, and that's worse. All right, what else? Anything good? Playfulness. Just be sprightly and playful. That's the best thing you can do to really just open up the energy of your whole life and all the relationships with around you. You know, every July, even when I was in film, it was just like things would slow down. And, you know, Nashville is a big tourist town, but in the middle of the summer, people like to go where the water is, right? So we have really busy times of year, but then we have really slow times of year. And I always feel like the dead of summer, like right around, right after the 4th of July, has always been a slow time for Nashville, even in film production. And it's nothing to worry about, but I feel like just having used that time this past couple of weeks, you know, extra time that I don't have a shift or something that I usually would, I've been really enjoying like just embracing playful energy and taking a few days to just go hang out with people that you know, making new friends at my new work. And, you know, that's one of the things that I wanted to manifest this year, was just like friendships at work, because being a freelancer, you know, you don't get to see the same people all the time, and you don't get to build those close like bonds that you do when you're like in the thick of it with everybody, you know, as a team. So I really missed that. And so that's one thing that I was enjoying about my new job, is that there's a lot of great people there to work with. So I've been trying to like follow through on that and actually like go hang out and you know, be playful and generate that playful energy. But I think it's just a good way to keep yourself open in life and youthful and attractive, you know, is just to have fun wherever you go. Be the person that makes it a party. You know, if you have to go to traffic school, make it like the most memorable traffic school that you have ever gone to. I always do. I always think we can make this fun if we have to be here, and we always do. And the card that everyone loves so much, only second and third to forgiving and learning and healing parent issues. Religious factors. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. And there's 3 things that always come to mind for this card. And one is that your spiritual beliefs may clash with someone else's, or just the way that they translate those beliefs into their mundane day-to-day decisions, which makes you incompatible, or is making an element of your current relationship incompatible that maybe you need to communicate with or about. Another way to look at it is that you aren't religious, and so that is the factor that is affecting the relationship between you and someone else. So having the, you know, conflicting religious beliefs, you know, isn't always a factor for everyone. I've never had an issue with dating people that didn't have the same beliefs, although it maybe caused secondary issues later, but it wasn't like anything that was so major usually. But that's not true for all people, right? Some people are very clear about what they want, and you have to have, you know, clarity about your own deal breakers and your own like non-negotiables, right? And so, you know, religious factors could be playing an issue on either side, and it may not be anything personal about you, right? Also, the thing about this, though, is that I feel like what holds a lot of us in resistance within our relationships is the way that we were brought up to believe that they had to look, usually based on some kind of cultural conditioning that was backed up by, or like hidden beneath the like scope of religious influence on the culture of your religious and like spiritual group. Like cultural, like cultural norms based on religious values, right? So you may be dealing with someone who had bad experiences with relationships growing up because of maybe their parents stayed together when they would have been better off separating because of their religious beliefs. Or maybe they were stern and strict and the family dynamic was always strained because of the religious beliefs. And so maybe as an adult now, you've subconsciously adopted the belief that monogamous, devoted, committed relationships and partnerships lead to stifling and killing your spirit and like taking away all your freedom, or like not allowing you to be your true self, right? So we have to let go of those that rigid thinking, because there are all kinds of people out in the world, and people of different temperaments and people who care about different things. And so there's always someone for everyone, right? But that means that you're not for everyone either. And so sometimes we just don't need to take that personally. However, I do think it's important that we unpack the unconscious conditioning that we have around relationships because of religious baggage that may not be authentically aligned with what we believe anymore. Examine what you believe versus like what you sort of saw and then processed, and then like it became like an operating system within you without your knowing. And just know that like modern a relationship can look like anything you want it to. Like nobody is telling you what to do. Like you're a grown up. You can make your own decisions. You can do anything you want whilst staying up late and drinking and on drugs if you want to, because you're an adult, as long as they're legal drugs, I guess. But yeah, and you're not hurting anybody. So you don't have to live the way that you saw others live that felt like it just wasn't going to work for you. You can go your own way and forge your own path and do something different and unique if you want to. It's different for everybody, right? So you just have to get clear on, learning about yourself and what it is that you really need and want, and what you want to give in a relationship and be for someone else, and what you need them to give in return and be for you. And then start being honest about it and put it out there so you can set your radio dial clearly and specifically to the radio station that you want to tune into and attract what is compatible, right? All right, you guys. I think that really gives us a full plate to deal with this week. So we're doing a lot of inner child healing and looking at all of the things that are coming up this week as related to like, okay, when do we remember feeling this way as a child, right? What happened around that? What did we go on thinking in that moment? And then what did we take away from, as a result? What was a pattern that erupted after that? And there's so many of these things, right? And we're always just doing the work of like sorting through them. It's just ongoing. It's just forever. Pay attention to red flags in others. Don't settle when someone is showing you red flags. Believe them. Believe what they are telling you. Believe when someone is telling you an inconvenient truth that doesn't serve their own selfishness. Like, believe it, okay? Trust the no. And trust the bad behavior. They might be trying to sabotage because they don't have the strength to say no, right? So gonna be bad. So just pay attention to those, and also pay attention to the triggers and red flags within you that are gonna set you off into your old patterns, right? We were trying to reverse those. Don't forget to have fun. Adopt a sense of playfulness. Lose yourself in playfulness and play and joy, and reconnect with that like inner part of you that is just like detached and is free and can just let go and be in the moment and be youthful and be sprightly and not everything be so serious. And I think that's like super attractive, and it's just attractive on a cosmic sense too, because you can't really like, I don't know, it's when you experience like the divine within all things, life on earth becomes fairly magical. And when you're in that state, you can't help but be playful all the time and have a sense of play. It's like now it makes sense why like little fairies are so mischievous and they're always just so sprightly, and like witches are always laughing and cackling because like the universe is always like making like an inside joke through some kind of like something that they can see that other people can't see. But yeah, be playful, and then take into account that people's spiritual beliefs are a major factor, and sometimes it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes it's a lot of baggage they haven't worked through yet. But also pay attention to your own assumptions about how relationships are going to be or have to be because of your religious beliefs, and question that and see if that's actually true. See if you can't have, you know, something that you didn't think was possible before. And maybe you could find freedom within, you know, a partnership rather than feeling stifled by it, when you know that you can be your authentic self and like somebody else would accept that too. All right, y'all. Hope you have a good week. I hope you guys love yourself and expand your self-worth and overcome, and we will be strong and prevail. And God loves us, and I love you, and we're all gonna be all right. All right, see you tomorrow. Ciao.